How would you like to add $2,500 of extra cash flow to empty space in your backyard? In this video, Rockstar Platinum member Michael Emanuel and I are going to show you how Michael was able to do this for his clients. Okay, so I'm standing here with Rockstar Platinum member and owner of Tri-City Builders, Michael Emanuel. So it's a beautiful sunny day. We're standing in a backyard here in Kitchener. There's a duplex out front. This is your client's property. You helped build this magnificent 2-bed, 2 full bath garden suite in the back. So tell us about this project. What was it all about?
Yeah, so the customer wanted to take advantage of the new bylaw rules to capture Bill 103 that the province approved. So we've been working with them since March of 2023 to put together a game plan on how we could take advantage of the empty space in their backyard. So what we have behind me is a 680 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bath garden suite that we helped from beginning to end, including the design and the construction portion of it. And right now it's on the market for rent. We have occupancy. So there's just a little bit of odds and ends to do on the outside when we have more days of nicer weather. Yeah. But it's all finished up and I'm excited to show you guys inside.
And right now you guys are listed at $2,650 plus utilities?
Correct. So the garden suite is independently metered for everything, hydro, gas, and water.
And you think you're gonna get $2,650?
I really hope so. I mean, the main floors of bungalows, which are pretty close, some of them don't even have 2 bathrooms in them, are getting over $2,500. And this is basically like a brand new house in the backyard. So I don't see why that's out of the realm of possibility.
If you had to give a minimum rent number that you think you can achieve, what would you say?
I would really aim for $2,500 plus utilities. I would be very surprised if they got less than that.
Okay. So why don't we go tour the unit, and then at the end we'll cover the build cost, maybe some of the roadblocks or challenges you faced, how long the project took, all that stuff, but let's go check it out.
So we actually have 3 different entrances into this garden suite. So we have the front entrance, which is behind me. Then we have this beautiful patio door to get into this courtyard space. So it'd be great for anyone that likes to entertain and bring the inside out. And then we have another door, which I'll show you after in the 2nd bedroom, which is used for emergency access. So come with me, let's take a look. So as you enter in, I'll just show you quickly. We have our coat closet with stackable laundry. One unique thing we did that I don't think a lot of people, the attention is in the details. We actually added a fan in here because a lot of these tight laundry rooms are subject to moisture. So it's like a bathroom exhaust fan to pull the moisture out. We're just actually waiting on a humidistat that will detect the humidity set point, and when it goes above a certain threshold, the fan will turn itself on, turn itself off. So pretty cool. You're greeted to a big, bright kitchen, living, and dining room, 9-foot high ceilings, 42-inch upper cabinets in the kitchen, so it really accentuates the height of the ceiling. So you can see it's very bright, very open.
And full-size appliances.
Full-size appliances. And there's no shortage of upper cabinet space for storage as well.
Wow. And what's this thing down here, Michael?
So that is actually a floor box where you can connect your household appliances to or phones. So we were originally going to add a kitchen island in here, but we thought that would take up too much of the space. So what I suggested to our clients is to get a counter height table, similar stone to what the countertop is, and that doubles as the dining and movable. So if they ever want to move it, change it around the configuration, they can do that.
All right, so you have electrical panel here.
Yeah, so we have a full 100 amp service in here. The HVAC equipment, which I'll show you later, it's a standard residential furnace and air conditioning unit rather than going with a heat pump. That's for some personal preferences. Just overall, there's less demand on the electric capacity for this home because we get 200 amps of service. So to cut down on demand, we wanted to add that as a gas appliance. Something that people need to understand is that per the Electrical Safety Authority, each apartment must have a minimum of 60 amps. And that's a lot of draw when you have 3 dryers, 3 electric stoves, in this case, a couple of different air conditioning units. So you have to be cognizant of that when you're planning around, talk to an electrician about the different load calculations that they can do for you. So you know whether you're making the right choices when it comes to things like that. So you have a pretty good sized master bedroom here. Again, lots of light with this 3-pane casement window. Master bedroom has its own 4-piece ensuite. So sink, toilet, shower tub. Nice soaker tub in there actually.
Yeah.
So after a hard day's work, the tenant can go and you know,
that is
relax.
A nice tub.
Yeah. And then behind me here is extra deep closet. So it's 36 inches deep. So I guess you could consider it a walk-in closet. But if you go forward into it, there's actually a unique thing is that it's on a sensor.
Oh, cool.
So whenever they come in, there's no light switch, but because it's a little bit deeper than a traditional closet, which is 2 feet, we added that in.
Smart. And
then behind door number 2 is where we've tucked away all of our HVAC and plumbing equipment. So we have gas powered furnace, we have tankless hot water boiler, and then above that we have an HRV which recirculates the air. We also have the water meter hiding in the corner over there. So one unique feature that I'm not sure a lot of people do or know about, but these doors are actually solid core doors, and that will help when the furnace is running to mask the sound for whoever's in the master bedroom. We have our attic access over here. So this build is up to the latest Ontario Building Code standards. So it's got R22 walls, it has R60 insulation in the attic. So it'll be very warm or cold depending on the season. Another thing, the attentions and the details is that the client may want to put a barn door over here. So we had to be a little bit forward thinking. And so we recessed the thermostat to make sure that it doesn't hit or conflict with the barn door if they add it. Then here is almost like a second master with its own ensuite, but we have the second bedroom, and there is the third door that I mentioned that can be used for access, obviously, but its main intent is for emergency services. So there's a direct path of travel to the sidewalk and the road from here, all the way down the side of the house. One funny thing is we've had a lot of Amazon packages that have ended up at this door.
So that's a good point, Michael. So how does it work with like Amazon packages and mail deliveries? Does this garden suite have its own street address, or is it the same street number and address as the front house, but it's like unit C or unit number 3 or whatever?
Exactly. So Kitchener has determined that any garden suites in the rear yard will have a designation of RY in front of the house number and street name. In some cases, it could also be SY for side yard, but RY is for rear yard because this garden suite's in the rear yard.
Okay, so RY, and then it has a separate mailbox up front that says RY and then the street name or whatever.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Correct.
Cool.
So then I mentioned this is almost like its own master bedroom because essentially it has a washroom all to itself. So it's a full, again, 4-piece bathroom, mirror image of the master ensuite. Nice high ceilings in here. Beautiful tile that our installer put on. I love the 12 by 24 tile. And this will be the closet for the bedroom. So the original thought by the client was to put the barn door, so that way this would almost be like its own separate suite.
Yeah.
Be completely separate from the living area.
I can see how that makes sense now, that it's all contained. I've never seen a switch like this.
So that's for the HRV controls.
Okay.
So it will detect a number of different things, but you can preset it just so the fan is always running or it's running on a cycle. And basically what an HRV is, it's a heat recovery ventilator.
Okay.
And what it does, it will pull fresh air in and pull the interior air out, but they'll cross paths on the way. So when the air that's inside is cooler and the air outside is warmer, they'll cross paths. So that warm air that's coming in will cross the cooler air, and the temperature of the air will drop. Or vice versa in the wintertime when it's pulling in cold air from outside and pulling out warm air from the inside, the warm air will heat the cool air that it's coming in. So it's just a way to recirculate air.
Does that conserve energy as well?
It's less demand on the furnace. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So is this something with newer builds that you're seeing, or?
Yes, it is required in newer builds.
It's required?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So we have all the ductwork that you see, there's no bulkheads here. There might be one in that bedroom, but there's no, otherwise it's a very clean ceiling.
Yeah.
That's because all of the ductwork is actually in the attic. One important note with the ductwork is that we have two types of ductwork. We have rigid ductwork and we have flex ductwork. One thing that we learned is that ductwork needs to be insulated to an R10. That's in addition to the R60 blown-in insulation. So all of the rigid duct up in the attic is actually spray foamed, and then the flex duct is wrapped in a bat to get the R10.
What do you mean wrapped in a bat?
So you know bat insulation that you put on the walls?
Oh yeah.
It's just wrapped around the ductwork. So you know for your dryer, how you have like the flex duct,
Yeah.
right? So you can manipulate it to get it to the exterior vent.
Yeah.
Basically it's that,
Okay.
except it's coming off of the main trunk and then going all to these diffusers that you see. Actually, these diffusers just over your head there, they're circular. The floor is a nice luxury vinyl plank floor, and it's actually glued down. So rather than doing a floating click-lock floor, I decided let's do a glue down. That way, if you ever need to replace a piece, you just rip up the one piece and glue it back down without having to take apart half the floor.
And you can, pry a piece out and stick one
exactly.
in and you won't struggle trying to fit it in?
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. How would you pry it out? You just gotta like make a hole and dig it out?
You could do that, or you can try to get into one of the seams, but probably what you said is just to go with the X-Acto knife, cut a hole into it, and then pry out that actual piece.
Oh, wow.
Without having to, chip the edges of the other pieces.
And with click flooring, you'd have to take off a whole section leading up to it, replace it. And
Yeah,
then
so
put it all
typically
back.
with the click flooring, you're gonna put that in first, and then you're gonna put your baseboard on top of it all around the edges, right? So you'd have to take the baseboard off, and then you'd have to start from whichever side of the room that you finished and work backwards to that piece. There are different ways that you can take that individual piece out and put another one in, but it's not gonna leave the best impression afterwards.
Yeah, makes sense.
So there's a lot of different things they need to think about when it comes to the zoning bylaws, and those will vary from municipality to municipality. The main things that investors and homeowners want to either do themselves or work with a BCN designer like myself is look at the lot size, the lot frontage, the setbacks from the different property lines, the side yard and the rear yard, as well as the existing footprint of the main house to determine how large and how tall of a garden suite that they can actually build. So that's one of the first things that we look at after we confirm with the zoning bylaw that a garden suite is actually permitted. And more and more municipalities are adopting that now, which is a good thing for the affordable housing crisis that's in Ontario. So standing outside here, there's a couple of other things that roadblocks that we had to jump, and I would encourage that anyone who's looking to build a garden suite in their backyard would also explore, is to one, confirm that their property doesn't fall into the jurisdiction of the conservation authority within that municipality, because that is another approval that they need to get in addition to the planning department and the building department. And the other one, which is interesting for this specific lot, is in front of me, you can see Highway 7. And the Ministry of Transportation has an authority over a certain distance outside of that highway and transit corridor. So we also had to get MTO approval for this specific lot in order to build a garden suite. So we're always learning, and we're able to take that experience from one project to the next so that we streamline the process. Some other things about this garden suite is that it's independently metered. So we have separate water, separate gas, and separate hydro. The logistics with this particular duplex being occupied is to work with the tenants in a way that disrupts them the least amount as possible. So one of the main things that we did here in the front yard is had to trench up for the new water and sewer to bring it to the garden suite. And that's something that a lot of people don't think about, because all of that soil that you're trenching has to go somewhere, and it can either be stored on site and then refilled, or taken off site and then had to be brought back. In this case, the lot's large enough that we were able to make do and do the trenching in two different phases. First, the front yard, where we excavated, did all the new water shutoffs, the new sewer attachment to the existing one, and then second phase, after we refilled it, was to bring the new water and sewer into the backyard. So that's not something that a lot of people think about, but it is something that I, as a construction manager, have to coordinate. So you might notice here that we've extended the driveway in the front yard up to 50%. depending on the municipality. They might have different bylaw regulations for how wide the driveway can be, but because we've taken advantage of the bylaw here in Kitchener, we've allowed 2 parking spaces for the main floor tenants and 4 parking spaces in the rear yard, 2 for the basement tenants and 2 for the garden suite tenants, so there's a lot of parking on this lot. So I mentioned earlier about the setbacks from the property lines, both the rear yard and the side yard, but equally important is the setback from the existing house. And you need to keep that in mind because there's OBC, Ontario Building Code requirements for setback rules and how many windows and door openings that you can have. So if you see over here, the setback is 12'6". So this is basically exactly what we needed to keep all of the existing windows on the primary structure, the duplex, intact. We didn't have to alter anything. And you'll notice on the back side of the garden suite that there's 0 windows. And that's because that wall is fire rated. It's a 45-minute rated wall. That way, in the event there's a fire in the duplex or there's a fire in the garden suite, that will allow enough time for the occupants to get away safely. And because it's 45-minute rated, it has to be of non-combustible construction. So instead of using traditional vinyl siding, which we used on several of the other walls in the garden suite, we actually had to put hardy board, which is a fibrous cement siding, on this wall. The way that the roof line is shaped of the garden suite, and the sun, which is going east to west, just behind my left shoulder, is that with where the sun is in the sky now, it doesn't impact the light that enters into the duplex in any way. So even though the structure for the new garden suite is quite large, it doesn't impact any of the natural light that the existing duplex gets. And then you can see here the double car driveway that we have in the rear yard. And then also the way that we've shaped the garden suite, which is rather unique. You're probably used to seeing square or rectangular shaped garden suites. This one is actually shaped like an L, and that's to take advantage of creating a private courtyard for the tenant, but also because the lot itself is not a perfect rectangle, it's more like a parallelogram. So in order to maximize the amount of yard space that we have and not have any wasted space or minimize it, that's why it's shaped like this. Also, the way the windows are, it captures all of the morning to early afternoon sunlight. So inside is incredibly bright first thing in the morning, which is really nice.
So when you do these garden suite builds, are you always staying aware of where the sun is so that you can properly position windows and doors to capture the most amount of sunlight?
Definitely take that into consideration. Also privacy, creating a separate space that's unique and makes the garden suite tenant feel like they have their own backyard space, and equally so the duplex tenants as well. So there's a few different, there's actually 4 foundation options that you can use when you're building a garden suite. We found this one's kind of the best of combination for price, but what we have here is engineered slab on grade. So this engineered slab on grade, it's 18 inches thick around the edges and about 4 to 5 inches thick on the interior side. You'll notice here that we've actually wrapped it in an R10 insulation, and that's for 2 reasons. One, to prevent water from freezing underneath and heaving, and 2 is to keep the interior of the slab where the occupants will be warmer during the winter months. So the other few foundation types are helical piles, which will be a pretty common one for modular builds. Caisson footings, which you probably are more familiar with seeing them for decks, which is basically a tube of concrete. And then your traditional form and poured footing and foundation walls, which if you're doing a basement in your garden suite, that's the direction that you would go.
Okay, Michael, what was the total build cost for this and how long did it take?
Yeah, so to get it into the state that you see it today, which is ready for occupancy, we've put in $250,000, which works out to roughly $370 per square foot plus HST for this build. We haven't finished, obviously, the exterior bit, so that will add a little bit of incremental cost to it. But I think from a value perspective, to get basically a brand new house in your backyard, it's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
As far as the timeline, so to get it to this state, we've put in about 4.5 weeks of construction. So we really put the pedal to the metal on this one.
Yeah, so that seems fast and it seems cheap for the final product, which you got here. So how are you able to come in at that price? And then how are you able to do it in 4.5 months?
Yeah, so our model at Tri-City Builders, as also being real estate investors, is to provide the best value that we can to our clients. So our model is cost plus, which basically means that anyone that works with us gets the same pricing that we get from subcontractors and suppliers passed on to them. And then we put our construction management fee for the part that we play. We also do the actual, or can do the architectural work. So we really see a lot of clients that come into us. They are more hands-off, passive. They just want us to deliver a beautiful product for them. So we'll take it from start to finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 250, 4.5 months, and then renting for a minimum of 2,500, but aiming for 2,650.
Correct.
So how would you say this compares with other garden suites that you've done in the past?
Yeah, so I always budget. I budget on the more conservative side and with the hope of always bringing the cost down. But versus the other garden suites that I've budgeted for, you're looking in the range of 350 to 450 per square foot. So obviously the size of the garden suite will really determine what the actual construction cost is, and more notably what foundation you use can definitely increase the cost incrementally because you're adding basically a second story to it.
Okay, and how much of a jump in value is there going from a 1-bedroom to a 2-bedroom garden suite?
You'll definitely open yourself up to more tenants. It's the same thing for a basement, right? And the fact that this is situated in the backyard, it's private, it's on ground level, we have all of this natural light, like what more could you ask for?
Yeah, so we were talking earlier, but like I'd rather live in this unit than a basement any day because of all the light coming in, and it's basically like a mini house. Like you're living on a main floor, it feels like house living. It doesn't feel like basement living, even though you're getting about the same square footage, maybe even a little bit less than you would get in the basement of like the duplex on this property, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's awesome, man. Where can people find out more about you guys?
Yeah, so everyone, actually, I'm going to be sponsoring or a sponsor at the next Your Life, Your Terms event.
Cool.
On April 6th. So they can come and check us out there. Yeah. But in the meantime, if they have any questions, they can go to our website, webuildadus.ca, or they can find us on Instagram at the same, webuildadus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Michael, for your time. This place is awesome. You guys did a great job. I'm sure your client's super happy with it. $2,500 of extra income from empty backyard space. That's not too bad. So thanks for your time, Michael, and we'll catch you next time. Till next time, your life, your terms. Really quick, before you go, this is the type of stuff that Rockstar Inner Circle investors are doing all over Southern Ontario to create extra income streams and build wealth in their lives so that they can ultimately live life on their own terms. That's what we talk about. That's what we help people do. And we've got an incredible Rolodex of professionals, guys like Michael Emanuel, who we filmed the video with, that can help you out whatever your strategy is, whether it's adding a garden suite in the backyard, adding a second unit in the basement, doing a student rental, whatever it is. We have this huge Rolodex of contacts that you can access by becoming a Rockstar Inner Circle member. So if you want to check out what the Rockstar membership is all about, we're going to leave a link in the description. Click that link. It'll show you all the benefits of being a Rockstar Inner Circle member. And you can see the event coming up that Michael's going to be at. And hopefully we'll catch you there or at a future event. Thanks for watching. Your life, your terms.